Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Day Football Show. I'm your host, Jackson Kellogg, and today we'll be getting into my game picks for Week 4. So, getting right into it. So, last week I went 8-7-1, so the Eagles-Bengals game counts as a tie because technically, unless someone picked a tie for that game, nobody wins, but nobody loses. So, that game counts as a tie. But other than that, the rest, I went 8 wins, 7 losses. So my total record for the season is 30-17-1, which was pretty decent. Definitely could be better. Almost had an undefeated week. Went 14-2 for week 2, but we'll try to get 16-0 this week. Well, can't be 16-0 this week, but we'll get more into that in a sec. So the upset win of the week last week was the Lions getting a 3-point upset win over the Arizona Cardinals on the road too. Definitely was more of a issue of the Cardinals not playing up to their ability than the Lions playmaking, but hey, a win's a win. They'll have to look to build up on that. And a not surprised win would be the Colts, not surprisingly, beating the Jets. Yeah, not much to say about that. Not surprised. So Thursday Night Football tonight, Jets-Broncos. Speaking of the Jets, Broncos-Jets, both two of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Broncos, it's not really their fault. They're kind of having an injury-plagued season. I think Brett Rippey, I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Their third-string quarterback, like Ripien, something like that. I think he's starting because I don't think Blake Bortles knows the offense yet. I'm going to give this one to the Broncos, though. Just because the Broncos aren't the Jets. I mean, the Jets, it's one of those situations where they don't deserve the W until they can prove that they can earn it. And that'll be by getting a win without me picking them getting the win. So, and I don't think that's going to happen, especially not against the Broncos. Thursday Night Football, I think the defense for the Broncos will still put up a good fight against the Jets, and it won't be as big of a blowout as the Colts had, but it'll definitely be up there. I'm probably thinking it'll be closer, maybe a one-score game, but only because of all the injuries with the Broncos right now. Jaguars Bengals. I had higher hopes for the Jaguars going into their Thursday night game last week against the Dolphins. Boy, was I wrong as they got curb stomped by Fitzmagic. And Joe Burrow put in a good effort against the Eagles. The tie against the Eagles wasn't necessarily his fault. Right now, the biggest plague for the Bengals is their offensive line. Joe Burrow is getting hit so much, like he's gonna get hurt at some point this season. And it wouldn't surprise me if he did because of the amount of hits he's taking. Like, it's an astronomical amount, and it is not good for a rookie developing quarterback, especially one that you're trying to develop as like a face of the league. But I am still going to give this to the Bengals. The Jaguars do have a pass rush of some sorts with Josh Allen and Caleb Von Chase on, so that might be interesting to see how much penetration they get on the Bengals. But I think the Bengals have better playmaking ability. It'll either be like a shootout, like 30s for both of them, or it's going to be like high teens maybe. Definitely, it'll be close, but no blowouts here. Bengals win though. We'll go with a Joe Burrow come from behind win too. That'll be cool. Colts Bears, two teams that I think are overperforming right now. I definitely don't have high expectations. I didn't have high expectations for these two teams going in, and I certainly still don't right now. I think they're both putting a mask on for the rest of the league right now. I will give this to the Bears, though. Nick Foles, I do like the move by the Bears to put Nick Foles in over Trubisky. Foles brings a different energy for the team. Do I think it's going to amount much to the Bears? No, they're not going to make the playoffs. The NFC is too strong this year for them to do that. Do they have a chance at a winning record? Maybe. That defense might help them out on that, but they still don't. Other than Allen Robinson, they've lost almost all their playmakers on offense. So not a great situation for the Bears. And I think the Colts blowout win against the Jets was a fluke. I think it's more of the fact that the Jets are just that bad more than the Colts are that good. Chargers Buccaneers, Tampa Brady. I love coming up with all those different names for him. It's kind of fun. Brady gonna go for his third straight win as a Buccaneer against the Chargers. Chargers had a close loss last week to the Panthers, one that I didn't expect to happen. And the Buccaneers had a good win over the Broncos. Definitely, I think could have been more of a blowout, but didn't happen. Not too worried about it. I do give the Buccaneers the win here, though. The Chargers are still rocking with Justin Herbert, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Tyrod Taylor's been cleared to play yet, so it'll be Herbert. And Tom Brady historically has played, well, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have historically played well against rookie quarterbacks. I don't know so much how that will have an effect of Brady without Belichick, but both their records are very similar against rookie quarterbacks, so I'm going to give this to the Bucs, especially with that defense. That defense looks pretty damn good. Cowboys Browns. This is a fun game in my opinion. I hope this game is televised. This will be the game that I pay attention to watch to, because I'm a Browns supporter this year, and I trash on the Eagles all the time. So I like when the Cowboys beat up on the rest of that division, even the Giants, and then you can't really root for Washington right now. But I think it's going to be a good game. It'll be the run game of the Browns against the air raid that move. The Cowboys are definitely moving towards air raid, which is going to be very interesting to see who they spread the ball out to. Because, I mean, you look at how the Cowboys won last week. They had 4 receivers over 50 yards, I think. And then you still have Zeke. So, definitely very difficult for them to spread the ball around. And it's going to be like a Chiefs offense mold, I think. Definitely not as high-powered with the talent that the Chiefs have. But I think it's going to be similar to where you're going to have to figure out who's going to get the ball which week. Because, I mean, guy who you wouldn't even expect their wide receiver for, Cedric Wilson, put up 100 yards last week receiving. So, crazy numbers. I am going to give this to the Cowboys, though. The Cowboys defense, I think, will step up here. And if it's a win-win for me, because if the Browns still win, then I can prove to all the Browns haters that the Browns are legit this year. So, because they're going to beat a playoff team in the Cowboys, because the rest of that division is terrible, but we won't talk about that. But either way, it's a win for me. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys just because I think they're the better team. Seahawks Dolphins. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick did play pretty good, but I mean, it was against the Jaguars, a team who everyone expected to tank this year. And Russell Wilson has been cooking. Yes, I'm still saying cook. So I'm going to give the Seahawks a win here. They're banged up on offense. I think they're going to go with Carlos Hyde as the starting running back over Rashad Penny, which sucks. I love it, though, because that means there's a first-round running back who went ahead of Sony Michel, who is more of a bust than Sony Michel in that same draft. Rashad Penny going to the Seahawks. So, hey, I'll take it. But even with Chris Carson out, the Seahawks have great offense with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett getting the ball. The receivers all over the place. David Moore even is a not-so-splashy but pretty good receiver for them. All the defense has to do is play pretty average, and they'll be able to hold off a Miami offense that's still trying to figure out their identity. Ravens-Washington. So, Ravens just got curb-stomped on Monday Night Football by the Chiefs. They just got obliterated. You can't even... There's no way around it. They played atrociously, and they're going to come back and be all mad and take it out on the football team and smack them around because the Washington football team isn't that good. And the Ravens are going to take advantage of that. So, sorry, Washington. Lamar Jackson's going to throw for like 4 touchdowns on you and rush for another 2. Texans Vikings, the game of the suck. 2 teams, 0-3, that were expected to have winning records and possibly compete for a playoff spot. But right now, they're both winless in week 4. So that's not a very good sign for both of them. Kirk Cousins has been playing like absolute garbage, and that defense is nowhere near what it was last year. And Deshaun Watson is getting sacked all over the place because his offensive line is reverting back to what it was in 2018 and earlier, as well as his receivers can't get open. He's developing a good rapport with Randall Cobb recently, and he's done decent with Will Fuller when Will Fuller's been on the field, but Brandon Cooks has been a no-show for that team. I think he's mainly been drawing the high-powered corners, but I mean, you got to look at it this way. The Texans have played arguably by some people the three best teams in the AFC in the Ravens, Chiefs, and Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are a top three, but that's my opinion. But I do give the Texans the win for the reason that I think Deshaun Watson was going to throw the ball all over this Vikings secondary that's so young and underdeveloped. Like, it's a good progression game for the Texans as an offense to get an identity and get that offense going, that chemistry. It'll come out better. Expect for players like Will Fuller, Randall Cobb, and Brandon Cooks all to get like 50 yards on like 5 receptions, if not better. Saints-Lions. I don't know how the Buccaneers looked like trash against the Saints in week 1, and the Saints beat them, and the Saints played sloppy, and I thought, it's just because the Bucs are still a pretty decent team, so they still make some mistakes in there. I'm like, whatever, they'll fix it up against the Raiders. Yeah, they didn't fix it up against the Raiders. It just showed even more as the Raiders were able to beat them pretty significantly significantly. Jesus, I can't speak. On Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago. I am going to give this to the Saints, though, just because I think the Lions game against the Cardinals was a fluke. The Cardinals are still growing. They're a very young team. The Saints are not. They're an older team. They're a lot of veterans that know what they're doing. And I think they're going to use this game against the Lions as a regroup to going forward. Panthers Cardinals. Both teams I picked. So I picked the Cardinals to win last week, and I picked the Panthers to lose. Both flip-flopped. Panthers won after stopping a horrible flick play. Well, I say horrible. It was a good play design, except Austin Eckler can't catch on that last play of the Panthers-Chargers game. Obviously, Eckler not being able to catch is a joke. He just can't catch a toss. We'll go with that. And the Cardinals, who I thought would just chuck all over an injured Lions secondary, were not able to do that as Kyler Murray tried to chuck the ball and threw 3 interceptions in the process, so it did not work. I do give Arizona the win this week, though, because I think the Panthers definitely still trying to grow as a team. Their chemistry isn't fully built yet, whereas the Cardinals, they're looking a lot better than what a lot of teams expected them to be. And I think Kyler Murray has a bounce-back week this week, throwing to DeAndre Hopkins over and over again. Whoo! Game of the week right here. Patriots, Chiefs, all-star matchup. Patriots, Cam Newton coming off a great win against the Raiders, though. Wasn't their best performance, but I mean, it was still a significant win, which just makes you realize how high of a ceiling that this team has. A lot higher than what people expected. And then you have Mahomes, who just babied Lamar Jackson and put him in his place as the number 2 quarterback in the AFC right now. But I am going to give this to the Chiefs, as much of a diehard Patriots fan as I am. Obviously would love the Patriots to win this game, but trying to not be biased here. Chiefs do have the better team. They're more complete. The Patriots are still trying to figure out they're trying to, I don't want to say figure out, they know what their offense is, it's interchanging, but they have to build chemistry with all their players still. And that defense has to pull themselves together a little bit because whether they try and stop the run and Mahomes throws all over them, or if they try to stop the pass and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs all over them. So they have to be pretty balanced on defense to win this game, and I don't think they're going to be able to. Bills-Raiders. The Bills almost had a 28-3 scare against the Rams, but they were able to not lose that game. And the Raiders got, well, I just talked about it with the Patriots. They didn't play too well. Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs were fumbling all over the place. turnovers happening on offense and not getting enough on the defensive side. I do give this to the Raiders, though. The Raiders prove that they can beat good teams by beating someone like the Saints. They are 2-1 right now. Their only loss to was to the Patriots. And I think the Bills are gonna hit a road at some point where, they're gonna hit a team that you wouldn't expect them to lose to. That's the thing with the Bills. The Bills will obliterate teams and even win some games that you wouldn't expect them to, but then they'll go lose to a moderate team who you'd think if the Bills are playing well, then they should be able to beat them no problem. And I think that team is the Raiders. That the Raiders aren't bad. They're going to be battling for that one of those wild card spots as well as the Bills. And I think the Raiders and John Gruden pull up with the win here. Rams-Giants. The Giants lost to JV 49ers. The Rams are not JV. They're pretty varsity. Top in their conference, top 5 team in the conference type varsity. So I'll give this to the Rams, as the Giants are, without Saquon, have nothing they can do. So, yeah, Rams win. Look for Goff to have 400 yards because this Giants defense is awful. 49ers, Eagles. Hey, Eagles fans, want to talk about it? Oh, no? We still want to brag about the Super Bowl that happened 2 years ago? Oh, no, 3 years ago by this point. Oh, yeah, you hold on to that with a 0-2-1 record right now after tying the Bengals last week. Ouch, tying the Bengals. Oh, and look at that, the 49ers. Good team, have dealt with a lot of injury. This is the injury bowl right here. The 2 most injured teams in the league right now. Except the 49ers don't complain about their injuries, and they go and beat an actual team and get this thing called a win that the Eagles don't know about this year. Whereas the Eagles complain about their injuries and make an excuse when they should be developing depth, which they obviously don't have. So that's why I give this win to the 49ers, because the 49ers have a complete roster where they have this thing called depth, where one guy goes out, you put his backup in, and he doesn't play as good, but he still plays at a football level, a pro level that you would expect. Unlike the Eagles' offensive line, which is down 4 starters and looked absolutely atrocious and looked like a high school offensive line could play better than them. So yeah, no win for the Eagles this week. Monday Night Football, Falcons-Packers. Falcons back-to-back over at one point, at least in 2 straight games, they had over a 99% chance to win. And guess what happens? They lose, both of them. One to Nick Foles in the 4th quarter against the Bears last week. The other was to the Cowboys on an onside kick that for some reason they didn't want to jump on. And now they're going to play pissed off Aaron Rodgers, as he's got the biggest chip on his shoulder ever, with Jordan Love trying to take his spot, except Tim Boyle's in between him because Jordan Love couldn't beat him out as the backup, which is still kind of hilarious to me. But Aaron Rodgers goes and throws for 400 yards over this Falcons secondary because it's absolutely garbage. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones both Aarons are going to just curb stomp this Falcons defense, and Matt Ryan's not going to be able to keep up. So now, before we get into the next one, you may be going, Jackson, there weren't any buys this week. Why did you only do 15 games? I'll tell you why. Because the 16th game, it was a 1 o'clock game, was Titans-Steelers. But earlier this week, we found out that the Titans had a coronavirus outbreak. Apparently, they had 1 case on Saturday before the game, and they decided to cover it up. Didn't report it. And guess what happens? They had 6 cases by Monday, and they added another 2, I think on Tuesday. So they decided to push the Steelers-Titans game from Sunday to Monday or Tuesday, right? So Titans weren't allowed in the facilities. They had to test Vikings players as well because that's who the Titans played. Vikings had no positive cases. They were allowed back in their facilities. Titans are up to like 9 cases right now in the facility between players and coaches. And due to that, that caused the NFL to make the move to push the Titans and Steelers game out of the Week 4 slot. So based off of what I've read and looked at myself, it looks like they're going to move the Steelers-Titans game to Week 7 because that's when the Titans have a bye, and the Steelers have a bye in Week 8, so you're saying how would they do that? The Steelers and Ravens both have a bye in Week 8, and they play each other Week 7. So from what it looks like, they're going to push Steelers-Ravens to Week 8 and allow Titans-Steelers to play in Week 7, and Week 4 will count as both of these teams' byes. So that worked out pretty conveniently if they do decide to go with that method for the NFL. But I mean, come on, Titans. You cover up a coronavirus case. I mean, so the first case in the league came from the Falcons, who had A.J. Terrell, their rookie corner. He tested positive. They threw him on COVID list right away. The Titans, you get a case and you decide to cover it up because they're probably an important player, and you said, oh, we don't want, we probably need this player, personnel, or coach, or whatever it was. So they cover it up. They go to the game, and they get a decent percentage of the team sick. So shame on you, Titans, for almost making it to where the NFL is now scared about continuing the season. So shame on you, Titans. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please subscribe. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hope you all have a great night. Again, Broncos are going to win tonight. I'm calling it now. And let's go for those Patriots on Sunday.